Hey, good day, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Andrew's Life. Go on ahead and get your bowl of boiled peanuts, your glass of sweet tea, and whatever else you're going to eat to watch this video. This is going to be my second video of my Should You Move to Alabama series. Now, in this video, I'm gonna briefly go over some of the different parts of the state that I feel people should move to. I mean, basically, after my video that I made yesterday, if you're still wondering, rather not you should move here to the state of Alabama, this is going to be the second video to help you make that decision. Because for those of you that are looking to move to Alabama, I want you to come down here as informed as possible. Now, before I say anything else, Alabama, in my opinion, is a very different state compared to many other states, even compared to other states down here in the South. So, given the fact that the housing market is starting to slow down a little bit, my suggestion to you would be if you want to move here to Alabama, don't be so eager to purchase a home right away. Come down here, rent an apartment, rent a hotel. I would say rent for at least 3 months, just to at least get an idea of the area in which you're going to be living at down here. So obviously, if you're going to move down here to Alabama, whatever part of Alabama you're going to move to, try to get a hotel or an apartment as close or in that particular community as you can in rent for 3 months. That way you at least will have an idea of what you can expect if you were to take it to that next step and you were to purchase a home. Because you might come down here and you might decide, you know what, you don't like your job sucks, your employer sucks, the community you live in sucks, and you might want to pack up all your crap and go back to where you came from. So my suggestion is, before you come down here, rent first. Rent for at least 3 months. Now, with that being said, like I told you before, I've been down here for a little over a year, and so far I have lived in I have lived in 3 different places in Alabama. I lived a couple of months in Montgomery. I lived out of my van, and last year when I first came down here, I purchased a fixer-upper home out in the country, and I stayed out there I was only out there for, I want to say, about 7 or 8 months. I didn't stay out there real long because the biggie, the biggest reason why I chose to leave the country was because the internet service out there was crappy. And with me wanting to pursue YouTubing as a source of income, I needed to be somewhere to where my internet choices were a little better. And the second reason why I left the countryside was because I found many of my neighbors. I mean, despite the fact that my neighbors weren't super close to me, given that we were out in the country, I found that my neighbors were rather unwelcoming. I'll just put it like that. So, my suggestion at this point would be, other than the fact that if you come down here to rent before you buy, I'm going to also say, if you're coming down here and you don't know anybody, you're coming down here like I did by yourself, My suggestion would be to move to either a larger metro area or, or move to one of the smaller cities. Not a small town, but a small city. And when I say a small city, I mean, down here in Alabama, you have a lot of small cities that might have 5,000 people, 8,000 people, 10,000 people. So if you're not wanting to live anywhere in the metro or anywhere in the suburbs, my suggestion would be to move to a smaller city. Like, for an example, I would say a good place to move and check out Alabama to see what Alabama is truly about. I would say one good place to move to check out Alabama would be Clanton, which is which you can get to Clanton off of Interstate 65. In that city, the population is a little over 8,000 people, and it is located between Birmingham and Montgomery. It's about 40 minutes away from Montgomery, and it's about maybe 50 minutes away from Birmingham. Another place that you can move to just to get a healthy feel of Alabama is, now this place is a little nicer. You can move to Wetumpka, which is going to be about, I want to say, 15 minutes or so north of Montgomery. Let me think what county that's in. I got my mind completely blank, so let's see. Let me do some research real quick. See what county that's in. And while I'm looking that up, let me think here. I'm trying to think of some small cities here. Another place that you can move and check out is Greenville. Now, I'm going to be honest, Greenville is not my favorite city. I think Greenville is a bit ran down, but just for the sake of checking out Alabama and getting the feel of how Alabama truly is, Greenville will be another place that you can move to check out. Another good place to move to, which is actually towards the southeast part of the state, which is closer to Dothan, Alabama. I mean, obviously, you can move to Dothan. Check that out. Another nice small city. The population of that city is 28,000 people, if I can remember correctly. Is Enterprise, Alabama. So Enterprise. Now I like Enterprise, Alabama. I mean, I like Enterprise. Dothan, Alabama. You know, Dothan, Alabama to me is okay. I mean, honestly, when I went through Dothan, Alabama, I wasn't super impressed. I wanted to say Dothan was an okay place. And if you don't mind paying a little bit of extra money for your rents or for your housing, another good place to check out would be Troy, which is the home of Troy University, of course. So Troy, Alabama will be another good place to check out. So basically what I'm telling you is, if you're a transplant and you're moving here by yourself, and quite honestly, even if you're moving here as a family and you're not from Alabama, my suggestion would be to move to either a smaller city, 5,000 population or greater, or you can move into one of the metro areas. Now, if you move into one of the metro areas, obviously, you're gonna wanna move to one of the better sides of the city. You're not going to want to move into the bad neighborhoods. And I've done videos of all the major cities in Alabama, so whatever city that you're interested in, just go on my channel and type in the name of that city, and I've got videos of that city. Now, and I hate to go there, and I hate to go here, but I'm going to have to go there. Now, I would say for those of you who look like me, whether you're coming down here by yourself or you're coming down here as a family, and again, I hate to say this, but I feel it needs to be said to make your lives out there easier. If you look like me and you're wanting to live here in Alabama, my advice would be to either find a decent part of town in the metro to live, or if you don't want to live in the metro for whatever reason, or you don't have the money to live in a better part of the metro, my advice would be to live, once again, my advice would be to live in one of the smaller cities. Not a small town, but a small city. And preferably look for a smaller city that's got 5,000 people or greater. And on top of that, look for a community that's got a population of people that look like, I'm going to just say it straight up, if you're black, look for a community that's got a black population of a minimum of 20%. Which down here in Alabama, that's not going to be hard to find. Now, I say this not because I'm a bigot, because I'm not a bigot, but unfortunately, I have found out that not everybody down here is going to be welcoming to people who look like me. I mean, for some of you, that's probably no surprise. You're probably thinking, okay, well, you're in Alabama. What the hell do you expect? And okay, I get it. I got it. But I'm just saying, if you look like me and you're gonna move here to Alabama, do yourself a favor, make your life easier, make your family's life easier, and find a community and find a city, whether it be smaller or medium size or larger, to where the population of blacks are at least 20%. Because if you move into an area to where you got a low black population, I'm gonna just tell you straight up, many other residents in those other cities that have lower black population, they're gonna, I mean, they're not gonna necessarily call you any names. They're not gonna mess with you or anything crazy like that. It's not gonna be like it was, back in the 50s and 60s or anything. But they're gonna give off a lot of nonverbal cues to let you know that you're not welcomed in that community. And here are some of the cues that you can expect. You can expect cues such as if you go and you try to, hey man, good morning, good afternoon, or some stuff like that, they're going to intentionally walk. And as they're walking, they're going to either look down to the ground or they're going to look clear in the other direction. That way, they don't have to worry about acknowledging your presence. They're going to act like they didn't see you. That's one nonverbal cue. Another nonverbal cue is, and I know some of you are going to think I'm crazy for saying what I'm getting ready to say, but it is what it is. Like, if you pull up somewhere, like at a grocery store or at a public place, and you jump out of your vehicle, other people around you are going to click the car alarm. They're not going to click it once like normal people would click their car alarm. They're going to click their car alarm maybe, 3, 4, 5 times, and understand when they click their car alarm multiple times like that, it's got nothing to do with them making sure that their car is secured. It's another nonverbal cue that they use to let you know, as a black person, that you are not welcomed into that community and they do not want you in that community. So it's just a nonverbal. Basically, basically, it's the modern day version of them calling you the N word, is what it amounts to. So, and obviously, if you move to any of the cities to where it's got a low black population, lower than 20%, if you move into some of those neighborhoods in some of those cities, uh, I mean, I'm not. Sometimes you might have some neighbors that are extra ignorant, and if you get unlucky and you get into that type of a situation, your neighbors will do everything in their power to make your life miserable. Like any little thing that they feel that you're doing wrong, they're going to call the cops and they're going to weaponize law enforcement against you. They might do some crap like that, or maybe if they have garbage to throw away, rather than throwing all their garbage away in the garbage can, they might throw it in your yard. Another thing that could happen, which happened to me when I lived out in the country, was, like when I was out in the country, my house had an acre and a half. My neighbor's house had over 3 acres. Now, my neighbor's son, whenever he rode his little four-wheeler, rather than riding his four-wheeler in their yard, he would come to my yard and ride his four-wheeler. At first, it's like, whatever, F it. I was busy trying to get things situated with the house, get things fixed up or whatnot. I didn't think much of it. One day, I don't know. I just felt very disrespected that someone would just come into my yard like that without asking my permission. So, I went over to uh, the son, and, he's a teenager, so I asked him, hey, man, can you take your four wheeler and ride it in your yard? I don't like people riding in my yard. Well, rather than simply taking his four wheeler into his yard, he gonna sit there and try to argue with me. So it's like, nah, man, I ain't having that. So I decided to go knock on the door to holler at his parents. So his parents, I talked to his father, and I would say after about 10 minutes, he finally came out and told his son to take his four wheeler into their yard. And then ever since then, I decided to do some spiteful stuff. Like what I did was I went to the store, I got some metal poles, and I sharpened up the edges, and I put them up on my property line. That way, if he tries to sneak in my yard, it'll flatten all his tires. Now, ever since I had that little situation with the son and with the father, they never, the son never brought his four-wheeler into my yard again. And of course, there was a bit of tension between me and my neighbors ever since then. So, yeah, that's another reason why I would suggest that if you're not from Alabama, you're not from that particular area of where you want to move to, and two, if you look like me, Do yourself a favor, make your life easier, and move to a community that has at least 20% black population. Like where I was living when I was out in the country, it was, I mean, I was the only person in that area. I was the only black person in the area. I'll just put it like that. Let's see what else here. So yeah, if you're a transplant, I mean, if you're not from Alabama and you're gonna live and you want to move to Alabama, like I said, for everyone else who's non-black, even for some of you folks, if you're not from Alabama, my suggestion would be to move to either a smaller city, 5,000 population or greater, or move somewhere closer into the metro. Because even if you're not black, if you move to some of these small rural towns that might only have a couple of hundred or a couple of thousand people, uh, people are gonna people are gonna recognize the fact that you're not from Alabama, you're not one of them, and therefore they might treat you differently. Now, off the top of my head, a few Alabama cities which I grew a lot, which I like which I was impressed with is now I now bear in mind I'm not a big city person, but as far as a good place to live, me personally, my favorite Alabama major cities, my favorite bigger Alabama cities is gonna be Huntsville and Mobile. I say Huntsville because Huntsville offers the best economy in the state of Alabama. They have the best paying jobs. And the city of Huntsville also has the lowest crime rate. And their infrastructure is the best compared to all your other Alabama major cities. I like Mobile because it reminds me a little bit of New Orleans. Yes, it's a lot smaller, and no, they don't got near that amount of entertainment, but I like how their downtown is set up, and also like the and I also think the historic district there is nice, and I also like some of their food. And on top of that, I also like the proximity to the beaches, given that it's located right by the Gulf. So I mean, Mobile, Alabama, in my opinion, is a fun little city to go to, which is why I like Mobile. Another city I like in Alabama is Tuscaloosa. Now Tuscaloosa is a college community. It's a mid-sized city. It's got about 100,000 population, but I like Tuscaloosa. I think it's a nice city. Now, as far as it goes for smaller cities, I like I did take a liking to Troy, Alabama. I like Troy, Alabama too. Now, Troy, Alabama, unfortunately, the housing prices in Troy are relatively expensive, and that's primarily due to Troy University because a lot of your cheaper houses get brought out relatively fast by investors because they buy those houses and then they rent them out to the students attending Troy University. But Troy, Alabama, in my opinion, yes, it's a small city, but it's a small city that's grown very fast. And the population of Troy is a little under 19,000 people at this point. However, They have every amenity that you would need, like shopping, places to take your vehicle for service, places to sit down and grab you a bite to eat, among some other things. Troy, Alabama has you. Troy, Alabama has it all. They got tons of restaurants. They got a variety of laundromats for those of you that might need to utilize a laundromat. Obviously, they got plenty of apartment choices. They got plenty of hotels. I mean, they have a Walmart. They have a Publix, and yeah, they do have a Winn-Dixie too. So everything that you need in a city, Troy, Alabama has. And Troy, Alabama is also within an hour of Montgomery. So it's not far from Montgomery. And it's also within an hour of Dothan, which Dothan, of course, the population there is about 70,000 people, depending on what that piece of data that you look at. It's about 70,000 people. And it's also right off of 231. So Troy, Alabama is convenient to larger cities, and it's also convenient to if you want to take a little trip to the Florida Panhandle and go to the beaches. It's it's convenient in that regard. Just jump on 231 and head into Florida, basically for the most part. So I like Troy, Alabama. Another smaller city I like Enterprise, Alabama. And another small city I like, which is right outside Dothan, is Headland, Alabama. Headland, Alabama. This is a smaller city, 5,000 population, called Headland, Alabama. I like Headland, Alabama. Now, Dothan, Alabama, I'm not going to say I completely dislike Dothan. I think Dothan, Alabama is an okay city. It's not a bad place to live. To me, it's just a smaller version of Montgomery. And as far as how I feel about Montgomery, yeah, I think Montgomery. I mean, I don't know. I'm not that crazy about Montgomery. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not that crazy about Montgomery. Now the eastern of Montgomery is, the eastern of Montgomery is the best part of Montgomery. But even the eastern of Montgomery, I mean, it's okay. But I would say Montgomery as a whole, I'm not that impressed with it. Just like with Dothan, Alabama as a whole, I'm not all that impressed. And, when it comes to Birmingham, now I do like Birmingham's downtown area. And I also think Birmingham has plenty of nice, well-to-do suburbs, such as Hoover. But outside of the suburbs and outside of downtown Birmingham, Birmingham does have ways to go, in my opinion. I mean, many of the neighborhoods in the actual city of Birmingham are, many of them are ran down and crime infested. So I think once Birmingham gets a handle on some of the crime and they fix up a few of the neighborhoods, Birmingham will be on its way to becoming a better city. So that's my 2 cents about how I feel about some of the cities in Alabama. Now, me personally, I will say, I mean, one thing which I do, I mean, as a black man, one thing which I do like about Alabama is you do have a plethora of smaller communities, smaller rural communities that do have that 20+% black population. Now, unfortunately, there's a lot of those communities that have a high crime rate, and many of those communities are not in the best condition. They're ran down. The infrastructure is not the best. So I would say if you're looking to come here to Alabama, perhaps you want to come down here, buy some cheap land, and you want to start homesteading, because that seems to be a thing these days. You got more people wanting to homestead, and I notice here on YouTube, I see more black families buying land, and they're starting to homestead more than ever before, which I think is a wonderful thing. So I would say for those of you that look like me and you're wanting to homestead, I would say Alabama would be a good place to come to move to for that. Now I will say, if you're like me, you're not from Alabama, you don't know anyone, I will say, don't expect to meet anybody real quick. I mean, for a while, you will feel like an outsider. Because one thing I noticed about Alabama is, here in Alabama, people seem to be a little more to themselves. Here in Alabama, people aren't going to be as quick to introduce you to themselves or welcome you to the community. Now, when I lived in Tennessee and I lived up in Kentucky, people were a little bit more friendlier. People were a little bit more welcoming. People typically would welcome you to their community almost right away. Now, down here in Alabama, at least for me, that has not been the case. So for those of you that may have had a slightly different experience here in Alabama, leave a comment below. I would like to hear from you, because this video is about the experiences that I've had in Alabama, which is why I'm giving the kind of advice that I'm giving you about how to go about moving to Alabama. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of rural communities here in Alabama. There's plenty of land that you can buy. I mean, like I said, if you're looking to homestead as a black person or a black family, I think Alabama is a good place to look for land. I mean, land prices down here are among the cheapest. And as I would always tell you to do, wherever it is you're looking to move to buy this piece of land, do your due diligence, ask a few questions to the locals. If you, or two, you can put a comment in the comment section if you have a question for me, and if I don't know the answer right away, I will get out here and do some research for you. And let's see, what else can I say right on this video? I meant to say some other stuff, but I kind of got off topic and started talking about what I'm talking about. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end the video, because there's something else I wanted to say, but I can't think off the top of my head what that may have been. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video, because I'm already at 34 minutes. So, as always, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Andrew's Life. And I hope everyone has a blessed one. And if you like what you heard, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, consider doing that, because I will be putting out plenty of content. And there's going to be a lot of exciting things to come on this channel for 2023. So stay tuned. All right, everybody have a blessed one. See you on the next one.